was there works. She did a lot of research with Richard King, sister named Fanny, and she works in the lab. So I said, we're going to get to the bottom of this. And I said, because I know what is being produced in the sugar cane, and what's the most thing that, okay, it's the white granulated sugar, plus it's on the side of everything, and this thing is in everything. High fructose corn syrup. That's the key. High fructose corn syrup. So the sister said, well, whenever the high fructose corn syrup hits your body, the entire nervous system shuts down. I said, this is it. Because what happens with diabetes? The pancreas shuts down. She said, once this thing hits your body, the entire nervous system shut down. I said, well, this is even greater because we know that melanin works throughout the central nervous system. So if you want to stop melanated people, you just basically attack the nervous system. You see what I'm saying? And all, you know, the nervous system. And they only and the thing about it is they only got by like 2 companies, other than when you go to the health food store, but like 2 companies that if you gotta look, that just have the natural juice. One is Dole, one is Welch's, but they also have they come out in the last 10 years with their own other line of juice, the popular stuff, and all that's got high fructose corn syrup in it. It said all sodas, it's damn near everything. And just about everything that we call sweetener is high fructose corn syrup. So we know now that the diabetes is the direct link to the high fructose corn syrup, because we also know that basically there's a campaign. We're going to drink the cheapest brand of anything sweet, which is the sodas and all the other type of stuff. So this stuff is actually shutting down the actual pancreas. You see. It's shutting down the actual pancreas and stuff like that. So we talk about we know that the particular aspect of how they control and stuff. We know but the diet thing and all. But see, but you got to track also to the point whereas you got to go back to the particular point whereas. When was this point where we just started? Where we just started coming down with stuff started becoming an epidemic. Like take for instance when you go to the I remember I had an uncle named Gray Henry. He was actually the first cousin, but down south to somebody your mama's age. That's your aunt. So you know we call him uncle. He was just my mom and them first cousin. So we went up to. He was on dialysis, and I swear to you, when he was on dialysis, this was in 1970, it was almost like somebody having a club foot in the particular aspect that you didn't know 10 people on dialysis. Yes. He was like a rare specimen. Yes. You met a person on dialysis, man, like, every 10 years. It was something rare and stuff. And when he used to go to the dialysis thing there, in the state of New York, biggest New York was in Brooklyn, it'd be 4 or 5 people. Now, the dialysis centers and stuff like that, you go there, it look like the damn football game. I mean, it'd be like 40, 50 deep in these major cities. You see what I'm saying? In these major cities. You see, and all black. Predominantly black, you see what I'm saying? So we're talking about something, and we just talking about in the 1990s alone. You see what I'm saying? Something attacking, you see something attacking the kidneys and all this kind of thing. But there's also too, in the metaphysical aspect, they got a lot of research where they say the kidneys is some of the most important thing in the particular aspect, not just for the body function, but there's a lot of mystical stuff. But why is one of the Greek goddesses, or the great mother called her Echidna, which we'll get one of these words kidneys come from.
Can you spell that for me, please?
E-R-C-I-D-N-A, Echidna. You see what I'm saying? So there's some stuff that's going on.
Before you go, Metaphysical, I just ran across the tidbit of a program a couple of days ago, and they were tracking corn from the Indians from North America, from America, the Americas,
right.
Period. And what he is saying is there is about 4 farms throughout the whole Western Hemisphere that's raising Indian corn, and they're raising for seed corn. That's all they do, and they ship it to other parts of Indian reservations all over the world. But they had corn. But the corn was at least this long, full, your body, with kernels on it, almost like my thumb. And there's an old Indian in Mexico, and they're asking people what it is. And I found out what you're saying about the sugar cane. Corn, and just corn. They live on nothing but corn. There's so many things that they told me that they was doing just with corn. They drank it. Yeah. They use it for herbs, and especially the cornmeal. When they do the cornmeal, if you grind the cornmeal in the wood, it releases certain enzyme, makes them double of what it was if you just did it anyway, just by being in the wood. But the most important thing is this old Indian was saying that what they were studying, and these are people who are doing some tracking, if they take this particular corn that they're raising for seed corn and put it in a regular field with fertilizer, it'll stun it growth. It won't even grow. But they have a special field where they use natural fertilizer. They have pumpkins. They'll plant pumpkins and other things that they turn under and use that for fertilizer. And of course, they use their manure and other things. Natural fertilizers. But when they plant the corn in that soil.
But it's interesting here because now,
but they burned all the corn. That's for the Indians in Mexico. That's what their main thing now. That's why they're fighting so hard in the hills in Mexico. Chiapas. The Chiapas, they burned for a whole village. They burned all the corn and all of the seed corn and all of the corn in the silo. Make them grow together. They all
like right now,
they all die out.
It's interesting to say that because see, I even heard recently. I get stuff from all over the country, which is what this thing was really supposed to be. When this whole consciousness came back, the last couple of years, what was really supposed to go on when it came to us is an intelligentsia, which means it's supposed to have been a consortium of ideas. Some person finds some stuff, they report this stuff in, and it becomes an intelligentsia. You see what I'm saying? But too often we got that same following herd mentality. You see what I'm saying? And everybody is doubled up into this sectarian corners where everybody is actually, when I'm finding out now, I'm traveling, everybody is actually their own scientist. Like take for instance, we knew they was doing with the sodas. We knew something was going on when they would have, every summer they'd have 12 packs of sodas for $1. But then again, this summer we found out that they put pesticides in it. So he was the same thing you talking about the corn and all that stuff. They put pesticides in you see what I'm saying? They put pesticides in it. You see, so it's interesting. That just came to mind about what was going on. But they have studied melanin to the point where you can get the book Russell J. the book Melatonin, Your Body's Own Wonder Drug. That book by Russell J. Reader and Joe Robinson. And just the bibliography alone, it didn't start with a bibliography, it started with almost 30 pages on research notes in the back of the book. Just on how much research, and when they had to document this, when it was dealing with melanin, when they had to document the stuff that the book was made from. It was 30 pages of research labs in that particular information before you get to the bibliography. So what you find out here is that the research in melanin was the full-time preoccupation of the American government.
Yeah. That's right.
You see, they had come to the point where they found out that, look, just about all stuff that they found out, because it's interesting here, because in the beginning of his book, Melatonin, Your Body's Own Wonder Drug, they give a list of what melanin does and what it cures. And everything that melanin cures, diabetes, Everything that it cured, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, everything that they said it cured, black people got. Yeah. So obviously, they was using the melanin research for white America and stuff as the wonder drug, but on the other hand, they certain. But the key here with melanin, melanin is a cure-all. No matter what it is, if the central nervous system works, it's a cure-all in the particular aspect of what it is, what it is a composite of. But that's the kind of research that they was dealing with. We talking about literally labs. As a matter of fact, 90%, I'm quite sure now, 90% of what they got now, no matter what it is melanin based. Which means is if they got something, with melanin, it makes it a super something. It's like a stealth atom. Whatever they got, they can enhance it tenfold. You see what I'm saying? They can enhance it tenfold. And that's the type of research that's going on.
What you would say that, I mean, I would imply from that they found if melanin has all of those therapeutic benefits, then they found a way to neutralize our melanin.
Yes.
Something that we're ingesting.
Exactly. Not only that, too.
All the good effects that we would derive
which goes back also to this, too. Because I think it goes back also to this, too. I think it's a combination of both. I think it's not only just a combination of diet, but it's also a combination of chemtrails.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Right.
You see what I'm saying? They're bombarding all kinds of things in the background. And another thing is also, too, it's a combination when it comes to music. That's one of the keys. Because the composites of melanin, if you break it down on the alchemical level, and then you go to what the ancient people used in the mythology to explain these components, the muse is a form of melanin. Where you get the word, the inner workings of something is a form of melanin. Where you get the word muse from amuse, museum, and stuff like that. The arts and all that comes from the schools of Hermes, or the Hermetic schools of the priesthood of Tahuti. Now, that means also that the music has something to do with it, and it's interesting, because I was doing a lecture in Detroit. A brother was at the lecture who was good friends. He was partners with the Funk Brothers. Now, the Funk Brothers was the in-house band for Motown. Right. That means that all the stuff that Diana Ross, the Temptations, and all that, the reason why they could put out more hits and stuff, because they just didn't have these miscellaneous bands coming in and hitting and missing. They would put them all there, but they had one in-house band was the best musicians on the planet. And so what it was is they said that they would never loan themselves out to other major record companies.
Motown wouldn't allow it.
They wouldn't allow it. Now, when I was in Detroit this summer, a brother said, hey, my partners was the Funk Brothers. I'm like, oh man, well, I said, man, they were the greatest, they were behind everybody. He said, man, ever since they started, or when it became evident that Motown had a secret, he said the FBI, the CIA, and all types of government agencies hound and track them brothers every move they met through the 70s, through the 60s, and the 70s, and parts of the 80s. So he said that they had close surveillance on these brothers because number one, the white boys couldn't use them. You know what I'm saying? They couldn't use them because they would not loan themselves. The Motown wouldn't, hire them out. And as a result, they tracked them guys every step of the way. And so that means, now this is another thing. Because I've been doing a whole lot of research on melanin and music the last couple of years, because that's important for the simple fact that that's all we do. Is you turn on the doggone radio and it's like one sister say, look, man, I'm 50 years old. What in the hell am I doing humming this crazy shit that we have on this radio to these children? She said, wait a minute. She said, I'm thinking it's ridiculous. She said, but if I ride to work 2 or 3 days and I hear that same stuff over and over, next thing you know, I'm getting into it. So she said, am I being programmed? You see what I'm saying? Am I being programmed? I said, yeah, because your body gets a repetition, and especially what you hear early in the morning. You ever got up and heard a song early in the morning and couldn't get it out your head? It was like a demon. It followed you everywhere all day long. So that's a, you know, so that's why the morning things is very key now. But now this is one of the deals, and what I was saying about that has a lot to do with it. The new music is all basically modified, holographic stuff, and it does not get to the muse level or the inner ear melody. I've been studying. See, it's possible to hear sounds.
I heard you say that before. Can you tell me what part of the ear contains melanin?
Well, yeah. See, what it is there's called a nucleus. You can get it in African Origins of African Origins of Psychiatry by what's the name talks about page 40. Richard King. Now, there's an inner ear nucleus, and the inner ear nucleus of melanin is where you get sight from. Sight is produced from sound. This is where, in the research, the nucleus, the inner ear nucleus. So, it is possible that at these particular times, you can actually hear music, but not really hear music. You know what I'm saying? Now let me give you an example. I just got I had an Onkyo receiver or whatever I got from the 80s, and it took so long for it to blow out. I got it used in 89. It blew out in 2001. It blew out in 2001. So I had to go out and get a system and all this kind of thing here, you know, get some stuff. So then I found out that they had done there was a whole other world out here in sound that they have done things with. And I had to go in and literally for 2 years I had to learn even more things about sound. So I got one of the top of the line things and stuff. They got these top of the line things. You have the domestic models, the Sony, you know, all those kind of things. Then there's the stuff where it's some stuff that is professional or some stuff that is it don't even come in this country. You know what I'm saying? You can get it and stuff, but you have to go to certain stores. There's the domestic, then there's that, they call it the high-end. The high-end stuff. So I got the top of the high-end stuff.
What did you get?
It was, it's a carver, but but this was like a $1,500 when they even stopped making the carver now. Right. Now one of the high-end is Denon has one.
Right.
And so I got some high-end stuff, so I'm dealing with it. And I found out one thing about all the records from Motown. When I put them on, even the stuff from the 70s and the 60s, but mainly the 70s, when some of the sound, in the 70s and 80s where the sound got a little even better from that analog type thing. But I'm putting these things on, and I got to turn it up. I have to turn it up. Each time I put one on, now you wouldn't be able to tell now on a CD because the CD is a hologram. So I had to turn the sound up, and I was wondering what was going on. What it was is they was on Motown so much until they might record the music, but it is getting mastered at Capitol. These white boys is the one who was the one that, you know, they send their tapes out to be mastered. These white boys is the sound engineers, and the government tell them, turn Motown stuff down. So although you hearing it, there's certain octaves, that's what the key is, that you're not hearing. And until they found the CD technology, that's what they had to do with the Motown thing. Now take for instance, now all CDs, one white boy was telling me, he said when the CD first came out, he had a Miles Davis collection. He went and gave his records away and went and bought the Miles Davis just for space. He found it, so he went and bought a Miles Davis collection on CDs. And he said he's playing it now. He said he's been playing this thing since the 60s, so you know in certain sound, if you hearing stuff over and over, you know when something ain't right. And he's like, wait a minute, something ain't right. And he picked up the box, and it said certain octaves have been taken out. You see, so now what you got in the CD, going back to all this type of stuff, because even Jewel Pookum said that when they say they got 100 watts on the radio station, it's not 100 watts somewhere. They just tell you that. They say they went in and they turned down the wattage in the mid-90s to the radio stations. And in that area, where they turned the wattage down to the radio stations, the black people started getting sick. You see. So there's a correlation with all of this type of stuff where they're messing with the sound. And so what's happening here is you got sound that is not even getting to the inner ear nucleus. You hear it, but its effect is not going to the level that it can be a medicinal aspect of healing. A medicinal aspect of healing. You see what I'm saying and all. So, no telling what the rap thing has got going on. You know what I'm saying? No telling what the yeah, it's in this book here.
These are the two main Melanin books. I don't know if anybody's ever been able to.
Yeah, I mean, it's in here on page 40, African Origins of the Biological Psychiatry. It's page 40 of one of those inner ear nucleus. And also, ear nucleus, page 34 in this particular book. And he goes in and talks about how the inner ear nucleus is where you even get sight from and different stuff, aspect like that. So now they're controlling stuff on that particular level. They're controlling stuff on that particular level. Also this here too. If melanin is a part of the central nervous system, and we know that dance was key to ancient society, the only thing they got to do is stop you from dancing. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying?
That's where rhythm is controlled through the.
Yeah. So my point is rap music, you can't dance to it.
Danceable.
It's not danceable. So this is the first time we produced a music that wasn't a dance music. You see what I'm saying? That wasn't a dance music. You see what I'm saying?
You can hear the beat.
Right.
Yeah.
And you see what I'm saying?
The beat has vibration.
You see. You know, like
But I mean, not to dispute that, but how would you then classify Miles Davis, Coltrane, Burns? I mean, earlier jazz, the swing.
Yeah, but right, but yes, but
that was very organic.
But the thing about it is this here though. But my point here is this here. I'm just saying on the dance period, but that stuff had certain tones and rhythms that was in it that would produce another effect.
Yes, sir.
You see what I'm saying? I'm just talking about the new stuff and all. At least with the new stuff that wouldn't have the quality of the higher repertoire of music, at least was danceable. So even if you had stuff in the 70s and the 80s that wasn't the type of complex jazz that you would have in the 50s, it's still you can get up and jam to it, which made it highly effective. Because I'm gonna tell you something about most artists. If you study most artists who had great success with dance music, when they start to slip, they can make slow music all day long. But when they start to slip in the particular aspect of their popularity start to fall, or they couldn't produce that catapulted them to stardom, it was always they lost the art of producing a certain amount of dance music. Either the dance music became obsolete, they could do the slow stuff all day long. But when it came to the dance music, you see what I'm saying? When it came to the dance music, that's when they became obsolete based on whenever their reign was up. You see what I'm saying? So even that, they understood that no matter how bizarre the popular music was, if you could still dance to it, it can produce an effect that in actuality lines up with the melanin. Because what the melanin does, melanin never stops moving. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? So therefore, it's the whole concept of melanin and all of that is based on the dance. You got the dance of Shiva. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? All cultures, the Kali, the great mother, dances. Now part of that is on two aspects. One is the dance of Shiva has something to do with sex. It's a form of dance, but on the other hand also has something to do with just actually dancing, even to the particular point, the early forms of the church for most of the 20th century, they were still dancing. You see what I'm saying? And the less sophisticated you got in the church, the more they danced. Isn't that something? That's true. High as the holiness and all in love was jumping across the seats and jumping out the window, but as they started getting under these banners of these and Europeans started governing the sanctions of what they're going to Episcopalians and the United Methodists and all this kind of thing here, and then the AMEs coming, the other Methodists and stuff, and they said, we don't do those types of things anymore. They were getting more like the papacy of Rome and stuff, and less dancing, so less African. So we talk about that old Sunday go to meeting, flipping over the bench stuff, that the holy and sanctified of Christ and the black foot of Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Yes, that stuff was more of an African thing because it had nothing to do with European whatsoever. Because even the doctrine, hell, there's one key about church. When it comes to service, most of the service you don't really learn that much on doctrine because it's too short. The preacher got about, what, 10 minutes to even speak. Most of it is sermon. That's why you got to have a Bible study afterwards. So they wasn't even getting the indoctrination going on. They was just getting straight up funk and stuff like that. No, you see what I'm saying? Who could understood what the damn preacher was saying anyway if half his stuff was hollering? But then again, on the other hand,
and that was fun.
That was a form of the same ritualistic ceremony of Africa.
You get the melody, you get the tone.
Everything. Right. And so, started getting degraded when we started going more and more into the white form of what they say the worship was. You see what I'm saying? Which is non-melanin. You see, which is non-melanin. It's the same thing. They got this whole blues thing that's on PBS this whole week.
Oh, yeah.
And this is interesting here because gospel music was started by the blues. It's not the other way around. You had the most popular people in the late 1800s was the Fish Jubilee Singers, but it was your boy who was from Chicago who was a blues singer. What's my man? The father of the gospel?
Dorsey.
Thomas Dorsey.
Dorsey.
No, not Thomas Dorsey. What's the name? Something Dorsey. What is it?
That's it. Thomas Dorsey.
Tommy Dorsey.
Tommy Dorsey.
Thomas Dorsey, yeah.
Thomas Dorsey.
That's him.
Was a blues singer.
Right.
Lost his money. He made a lot of money. He went bankrupt, and he went back home and fused that sound of the blues with the gospel jubilee quartets and stuff coming out of the late 1800s of what the Fifth and all of them do, and made gospel music. So when people say, you know, oh, that's evil and stuff, no, they don't understand. The basis of gospel music is blues. You see what I'm saying? It's blues. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. And also, you know, here again, we still talking about things that's shutting people down on a rapid pace. You see, on that particular level, and I think that what happened was also a lot of the research in melanin that black people was doing is they was looking at this thing from a chemical perspective, like the white people. Because they had to do it that way. What they didn't realize was this thing was a whole ecological system that was more than just a chemical thing. It was damn near rooted in everything you did. The whole function of things and all. And when you cut out the actual functions, you see what I'm saying? You can learn all you want and stuff. You're actually not even dealing with it because the simple fact is we're talking about a whole system that which your entire whole civilization was based off the function of this. You see, so it's yeah,
program.
Right. You see, you know, based on this and all, you know, high emotions. That's a part of, you know, we don't like to get emotional. You know what I'm saying? You know, because we trying to go after another species. You see what I'm saying? Another doggone species that's different. High emotions to them meant that somebody was going to die because they were killers. So in order to civilize them and do the reverse, the white people couldn't have no emotions whatsoever because they would end up killing each other. They were warlike people. You see? And all. So, you know, but I'm trying to say high emotions in the particular aspect of creativity is, you know, we have been shut down now for the simple fact that the more and more we become all calm and cool and collected and stuff, trying to be like the European, the more and more we think that those are the particular people that's got more on the ball. You see what I'm saying? And that has also a lot to do with also, well, I know it has a lot to do when it comes to health and all that, because I know for a fact, health, 90% of all health has to do with your mind. And basically, when your mind changes, and I know this for a fact, the simple fact, I got a brother that my youngest brother needs to be studied in the particular aspect. They've taken the diet thing to a level until I don't know, they damn near, they're almost close to eating air, but very little. Yeah, I mean, the breath training and all, but they're very little, whatever they eat, what little millet or whatever they eat and stuff. They got it to a science and stuff, but the thing about it is this here. Thing about it is this here. If he smelled the wrong kind of food, if you go in your house and paint your fingernails in his house, he breaks out in hives. He's always getting sick. He's very sensitive. Why? Number one, he don't even have nothing to do with the diet. He has controlled his mind and they programmed his mind, because this is a computer, and everything on the planet is dangerous to me. And as a result, his body responds to it. This a nigga used to lick ketchup off the fucking street. I've seen this nigga used to lick ketchup off the damn street. You see what I'm saying? But he's trained and stuff, but what they tell you when you go to the people in the Aborigines and all those particular people and stuff, and even down in this and down in the country, when the bug get on the baby's food, they say let the child eat the bug. Let the child eat the gnats, because what it is I mean, he's building up a tolerance for things, and you know, you see, and also that's how you do it. Like, take for instance, now I realize Muhammad said something, and I thought it was ridiculous when I heard it. He said that they didn't have a medicine until they had the pig. The pork was medicine for the Europeans. So at first I said, this is ridiculous. Well, then I said, well, first of all, 98% of their breakfast, which is the first thing they eat, the most important meal of the day, is what consists of pork.
Bacon, sausage.
You see what I'm saying? It consists of pork. Now, it wasn't later to when you studied the history of Europe, you found out that the only way that they could survive is they had to go and they had to put dirt on them and mud and stuff, the peasants.
Right.
Because if they didn't have that dirt and that mud and eat filth, they would die.
So you said they use that to develop immunity.
Immunity. So, what better way to develop immunity to get something as low as a pig?
Full of poisons.
Full of poisons, and eat that. And that's what he said, that became their medicine. It makes more sense now when you study the anthropology of these people. I said, man, that's some genius stuff.
You became their melody.
You see, it became what, you know, the cure-all. You see, it became the cure-all. And where we know that the aristocrats, although they never washed, but the other ones would at least clean their bodies to the point where they look clean. Mm-hmm. So they didn't walk around with dirt. They were still filthy. They didn't wash, but they had a way of making themselves look clean, but never taking a bath. Because, you know, the only one who took a bath was the queen, who took one twice a year. Queen Elizabeth. No, Queen Vic was Queen Elizabeth. And it was a guy, she took one twice a year, and then there was a guy.
They thought it would make them sick. They thought water and bathing.
But it would make them sick. They knew what they was talking about.
So they didn't make it.
Because it would make them sick. If you're in a land that's hostile and you walking around clean in a disease-ridden area, and your diet consists of mainly red meat and different things like that, and you in the hostile cold, you better learn how to live like the animals. So what the deal here is with the Queen Elizabeth, the Queen of France wanted to marry her, but she said, I got to draw the line, because he only took a bath like once every 2 years. And she just figured that was too filthy for her, taking a bath twice a year. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of these things here, it makes a lot of sense when you think about it. But I'm also going back to say here, now that's the grotesque aspect of it. But when you go back to this particular part here on this, why is it that my brother, who is the quintessential man when it comes to this and all, has been sick more times than me, and I'm never sick. You see what I'm saying? Now, I also know that in actuality it has something to do with the mind. He has programmed his mind that everything is going to be dangerous. So what happens is, what started with just, I'm looking after my diet, which is just basically what you're supposed to do. That's just basically apples and oranges to an obsession. See, somewhere it went from, you know what I'm saying, well, the first thing we did, we went vegetarian, and then we went this and stuff like that until it becomes an obsession. You see what I'm saying? And then you understand is, it talks about a middle pillar as a balance. And the middle pillar here is one extreme is the same, just as bad as the extreme that you come from. So if you got this extreme, you say, I want to better myself. But if you go to total opposite, you have not bettered yourself, you just become worse. And you probably enhance something that was worse than what you were before. Because you are consciously doing it now, which makes it even worse. See, if you're doing something out of ignorance, every now and then something decent will pop in because it's health hazard. But if you rigid with it and all, so it's the same thing with the mind. It's the same thing with the mind. We're becoming more and more on an aspect of taking care of ourselves or doing certain things like that. But then again, on the other hand, we don't have the mind of our grandmama and them. Who, you know what I'm saying? Whereas all of the people is still living in the country that is over 100. They are no 100-year vegetarians almost. Majority of the people, it was the 100-year-old vegetarian. Well, majority of the people and stuff like this and all, like this guy that was 130 years old in 1973, smoked 5 packs of cigarettes a day. Now you couldn't smoke 5 packs of cigarettes a day; it would kill you. But then again, on the other hand, their mind was on another level. Also, they used to call us childlike people. But then again, on the other hand and stuff like that, what children, you know, very few children are sick. For most of it, they start getting sick later on after they become grown. So what that means here is they don't think of the things, the negative things that you think of that would make you sick. The stress. That's the key. The stress level. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, it's the same thing why they say, well, why is it we can have a bum out here living on the street for 10 years and you living in your house and you about to die? First of all, he's free. He's not, the only free people in the planet is the bum. You see what I'm saying? You see, the only free people is the bum. I try to come a little close to that and stuff. With me, I try to come a little close like that. No, I'm a 21st century ascetic, which means I got a house with hardwood floors and stuff like that. No, you see what I'm saying? But you know, I don't have any bills and stuff like, you know, no credit and no bank account and no automobile and stuff. So that's my version of the person in India that walks around with the stick. When he, you know, and he gives up everything at a thing, he becomes his holy pilgrimage. My asceticism is I try to get past every day with trying to do as least as I can do. Which means is if I can find, like sometimes I get up and I turn on the music and I blast it and I hit my elixir at just about 10 o'clock and I'll get a little buzz and then I go to bed and sleep till 5 o'clock. What then again, on the other hand, you got to understand, now what I'm talking about is this, and that the Egyptians, which is the Egyptians are the Gnostics, which is the later day Egyptians, they say we spend most of our time sleeping. That's one of the keys. You see, less stress. And you got to understand right now, for people that work, what is the most precious commodity? Not food, not none of that. Sleep. That's the only thing that you are deprived of. Hell, you even get off for lunch to go get something to eat.
But let me ask you though, I mean, but don't you think that in that regards, in terms of the people of Hemmitt when they were sleeping, that they were actually living in their dreams, so they weren't just a sleep like
now we're not sleep, but it is. But then again,
in their dreams.
But then again, when you dream, you are actually experiencing the dream world anyway.
It's a reality, but I'm saying, but the higher metaphysicians can actually
yes. You can go. You can go to all that, but my point here is, even if you don't have the science of going and experiencing the dreams on that level, certain amount of sleep, you're in the dream realm anyway. You see what I'm saying? you're in the dream realm anyway. So they said, well, most of the ancient culture, not unless they had some type of ceremony that they was going to deal with, especially in North America, they went to sleep when the sun went down. You see what I'm saying? And stuff. They went to sleep when the sun went down. Sun went down. And all. So it was interesting because every now and then something will happen. They had this girl. She's a Hispanic girl. She's in the new Denzel movie. She played his wife, and she also played in the movie with him when he did Training Day. She was the girl that he had the little.
Okay.
She's been on a lot of movies since then. She was in the Fast and the Furious, and she's been on a lot of movies recently. And so when she came on the night show and all, they was like, well, you know, what's her name trying to throw her a curveball question, like they try to do Jay Leno. Well, what do you do every day? Something, you know. She said, what do you do? He was trying to say, what's one of your hobbies? What do you do? And he was thinking she was going to say like shopping or something. She said, one of my hobbies, one of my best pastimes, she said, sleep. Sleeping. You see, on that, you know, so you know, on that particular level.
That's when the body repairs itself.
Yeah. And well, my point here is if you get shot or you get wounded, some of these people might sleep for a month. The doctor didn't do nothing. You slept for a month and you repaired yourself, you don't thank the doctor. Only thing they do is hook up some monitors and some stuff, some glucose, and make sure you don't dehydrate or starve to death. You know what I'm saying? Why are you healing yourself? You see, why are you healing yourself? You see, so we still talking about the concept here is a lot of the things here that we're dealing with here, we're dealing with just basically the mind. You know, basically the mind. You know what I'm saying? Like, take for instance, okay, I'm look like I ain't healthy with what you call it and all. Well, why is it that I scrape my arm to the white meat, cut my arm to the white meat, get out somebody's car and his antenna on the back of the car was broken. It was jagged, and I walked past it and it scraped my arm to the white meat. I put some gauze on it. The next Sunday, a week later, it's completely healed. You see what I'm saying? Or when some hot grease popped on this hand, hot grease covered this whole hand, and nothing happened to it. It never swelled up or anything. That's because I went to a certain level, you see what I'm saying, where everything is self-healing. And I know it sometimes because I wake up and I got this burning sensation. And I'm like, man, I must have hurt myself. You know how sometimes you hurt yourself and you don't know it? Well, what it is the Kundalini energy. You can get to a certain level of spirit until it heals. It's like they show. It's all in a lot of it is documented in the autobiography of the Yogi, that book. In there with a guy, they give this guy some poison. And he drank to get a master the poison, and the master drank the poison, and the other guy gets sick. Or they had the guy, he was 300 pounds and 300 years old. And he used to sleep under the ocean. And when he come out from under the ocean, he'd walk around the town naked, and they would lock him up. You know, they would lock him up and put him in jail. And then people would run and say, there's a big fat naked man meditating on top of your jailhouse. He could literally...
What did you say about this burner? Excuse me.
Yeah.
Is that, what do you mean? What exactly?
You ever took any niacin?
No.
Yeah. Alcohol or something, what would give you a burning sensation when you get real hot, like it's a burning sensation? You ever had something?
Horseradish root.
Or something that's a hot burning a sensation and stuff. Or either alcohol. It's like it's a burning type sensation. It's like your leg is on fire, but it's under the skin.
Okay, like, all right, if you feel like heat around your face or...
Yeah, that would be a part of the Kundalini energy, all that too. So I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm burning. I say, oh, something is healing.
Because, you know, for the last 2 days, all right, you know, I've started working again, and, you know, when I get in from work, you know, I take a bath and exercise and everything, and my face is, like, really hot. So, you know, I'm trying to figure out where this is coming from. You know, is it like, what, a hot flash, or, you know, what's going on with this?
That's some form of Kundalini energy, is what that is.
Back at work, what kind of are you exposed to any particular thing when you're at work?
No. I mean, just, well, Well, construction inside construction.
See, I'm gonna be honest with
Everybody is healed
you.
and
Now, I will say this much here.
got into your skin and doing that.
Well, see, I'm gonna tell you, I will say this much here. I do know this for a fact. That if you are conscious right now, and there's very few of us conscious, it's like you've been trying, you can go up to a person, and this person can be a PhD, and you can give them this particular information, and it's almost like they won't even be receptive to it. That's and the difference is between somebody being awake and somebody being asleep. The ancient masters, and these was white boys in this particular, I ain't saying ancient masters, these was white boys in the early 20th century, Gurdjieff, Krishnamurti, and all these particular ones, and they used to say, now they had knowledge, and they say, man, I would be glad the day when I wake up, when I finally wake up out of my dreams. The difference between you and the other people who don't get this and refuse this is literally, you got some people that's walking around sleep, literally sleep, and functioning on a certain realm, and the ones that's awake. So that means is this. If you are conscious right now, you've probably gone through a series of transformation and deaths, and you don't know it. Now let me give you an example. I got a friend, he's 62. Last winter of 2000, he partying, drinking and stuff. Go outside, walk out in the street, get run over by a damn car. Car hit his ass. Stop. He crawled from up under the back of the car. The car ran over this nigga. So much, you know, you gotta, when a car hits you, most people, when a car hits you, you might bounce off or something, or it might be going, but this car was going so fast, this shit hit this nigga and this ran over him. He climbed him up under the license plate in the back, the exhaust pipe. Got up, walked 5 blocks to his sister's house.
No.
Sister said, you drunk as hell. He get in the car, she take him back. I gotta go back to the damn party. He go back to the party. Now all these people conscious now at the party. He go back to the party. There's a big crowd in the street looking for the man that this person is. He's standing around in there looking for the man. And somebody holler out, this the nigga right here, because he got tire tracks all over him. I said, well, see, was you hurt? He said, I had a little scratch on my face. He said, but that healed up the next morning. 62 years old, ran over. Hell, a door hit you the wrong way, and you got dead. So that meant that he'd gone to a level of spirituality that he had died on the physical and crossed into another realm. So I know what's happening when I get hurt, and then it heals up the next day or the next week or whatever type thing. You know, this thing here healed up. It's got a brown marker. That's just the melanin, but it healed up, and you know, the next week it was completely healed. So now, on the other hand, you got people born this way. Now check this out. The guy Wayne Chandler from here.
Right. Wrote the book Ancient Future.
Ancient Future. He got hit by a damn SUV. I'm a man from Detroit telling me this. In June or May or June, he get hit by a SUV. The SUV mashed in damn near up to the window. He bounced up in the air, 20 feet up in the air, and land on his feet. Land on his feet.
I ain't seen it.
Land on his feet. They go to, a month later, he go to, nothing wrong with him now. Got hit by an SUV. A month later, he go to the doctor, and the guy said, man, you got to exercise this because the impact of the car and everything, your energy went right there. Now, I'm telling this brother name, remarkable brother. I'm telling this brother, no, so I'm saying the brother got hit by an SUV, bounced 20 feet up in the air, didn't land on his damn feet. You see what I'm saying? Now, check this out. See, we are immortal and don't know it already. Now, Another brother in New York named Shabazz. Shabazz said, man, I used to be in all kind of stuff. He said, man, one of my partners, he said, we were selling crack. I just be on the door, just watching out. He just tell me all this stuff. He said, man, I done been shot, I done been stabbed. He going through all this stuff. He said, man, some guys got on the elevator, some Jamaicans got on the elevator with 4 Jamaicans with hammers, and they beat me in my head. He said, he said, I couldn't even feel it. I just heard my skull going like that. Then he said, then one time, I'm on the 5th floor of this building. They gonna kill me. They gonna throw me out the window. He said, the only reason why I can't went out the window, he said, because they gave me a beating to the inch of my life in there just to get me to the window. And then they threw him out the window. 5 stories. He falls 5 stories and hit a pile of brick and bounce. Then everybody in the project scared because that same night, this nigga out on the damn corner with a rag around his damn head, walking around. Then he said, one time I'm walking across the street, he said, and I was telling about Wayne China, he said, that happened to me in Harlem. He said, I got hit by a car, went 20 feet in the air. He said, I landed on my knees and got up, and the people was like, you all right? But he said, now the whole thing, now this brother, he sells tapes, conscious tapes, in downtown Brooklyn, brother named Shabazz. And I told him, I said, you are a spirit being, and they preserve you to do what you're doing right now. And he brings me up to do lectures. And he said the whole time I was doing, he said all that time when they threw me out that window, he said the whole time when I got shot, I got stabbed, I got hit by the car and stuff like that, he said I was always drunk. Then, you know that legend of the Kung Fu drunken master and stuff like that, he was always in another state. He said I stayed drunk. He said I was always drunk. He said so when they threw me out that window, I was high as hell. So my point here is this here. The point about that is, I know now that certain people have gone to a certain level. And more than likely, if you've been conscious, or you're conscious now, you're not conscious now because you just made it. You think that you studied something and you just like this African stuff. No, it's more than that. You're conscious now because you were born to be at this particular time right now, and then nothing can destroy you. You just don't know it yet. Once you start realizing that you're invincible, then you're invincible. Like me, I would be on the phone and I'd tell a damn lie, and the next day the lie came. This shit scared the hell out of me. Next day the lie come true. And this thing started happening on a regular day. I said, damn, I gotta quit telling these lies because the lie comes true the next day. But I was creating that reality. You see, I was creating that reality. Now I got this new thing. And I ought to do it more often and stuff. And I think the Spirit must be telling me to do it more often. And stuff, but y'all see, you know, niggas, we still got that paranoia. When the last dollar is spent, more money starts to come. It's amazing. Now you might hang on to that last dollar. You know, you start getting down to them 20s. Them 20s is like ones now. Yeah. You break them, they gone. Magic. It's like magic. So you get $100, you might well say, I'm broke. Lord, I'm broke. Because you know once you break it and you get into them 20s, it's new dealing. And in one trip to the supermarket, eat that shit up. But so I budget and I hang on to that last dollar, and then I don't know why I'm doing it, because see, that's that same habit. You know, niggas is scared of poverty. Hang on to that last dollar, but every time I get rid of the last dollar, it might be a day in between all this money come. You see what I'm saying? Or something like that, you know. But it's always just enough to tide you over. Now, you ain't going to be millionaires, but your head will be up over the water. It's above water. You see what I'm saying? But it's interesting. It's like magic. Because I say, well, damn, man, you was able to parlay 10 years of doing these lectures, and all the nights I was $300 a lecture.
Oh,
and I'm saying that was magic. It said you ain't worked in 10 years. It was fall 93 when I quit my job or whatever.
Hey, Tammy.
And you ain't worked in 10 years, and my salary for all of the 1990s was $300
Oh.
a lecture. And I didn't have a lecture every week. I mean, that might, you know, I'm just saying, it's just amazing how it was magic on things like that. But the problem here is you got to, you know, you have to start using the mind. You know, you have to start using the mind.
Well,
You know, and it's all there, but it's just we're still trained on a certain level. And not only that, we got to start weeding out the aspect of what is human. So we be talking about we want to be the gods. But then again, on the other hand, all our thought and everything we know is human, and the gods are not human. So therefore, the more you act less human, or the more less you participate in human activities, then the more and more you're more like the gods. So I know they lay around and drink beer and wine all day long. So that's what the hell I do. And I have mastered doing nothing to a level. It's a level of spirituality. It's gone to a level, you know what I'm saying? I have mastered this stuff. You see what I'm saying? Because I got all this time on my hands, so I need to master doing nothing. And then, but this is when you know when you get to the level though, and that's when I knew, you know, when I got to the level, because I was have some financial difficulties. And then, about a year ago, it was October the 16th. I did it twice. In October, and I did it sometime this summer. I sat in the chair, and Bobby Hemmitt, myself, ceased to exist. I was like, I felt like nothing. It's called no self. When you get like that, when you totally neutralize the ego. You know what I'm saying? Like, I told one sister, I said, well, well, you can come over to the house and you can think about anybody other than me. I don't give a damn why we having sex. I said, think about another nigga. It don't matter. So I done neutralized the ego. I said, I really couldn't give a doggone. I said, take that big, tall black man running on the beach from Jamaica, bring him to the bedroom too. Because I have to neutralize the ego to the point where it doesn't matter. And I had got to a level of no self. And that's when stuff started turning around. That's when stuff started turning around. And whereas you really, the concept of Bobby Hemmitt, or the person I was, I have to drum that particular person up. Because you're going into a whole nother level. That's when things start turning around. Then that's what starts to happen is the God self, the stuff that's really in you, the stuff that your soul starts to run stuff. When it starts to run stuff, it's a whole other thing. Once your soul starts to run, because your soul is different than your spirit, and it's different than your ego.
Could you explain the difference between soul and spirit, please?
Spirit is just basically, when we say spiritual, everything down here has a spirit, even white folks. Everything has spirit. Cats and dogs and all that have spirits. The soul is something totally different. The soul is a dormant particle of light. It's a sun. Just like those stars up there. That's what it is. It's a dormant, invisible particle of light, which is your true self. The rest of the stuff is your spirit. And you got to burn into the spirit and go through the spirit realm to get to the soul realm. You see? So you got your car and you got your bar. The bar is the soul. The car is all the other stuff and stuff like that. So basically, even when we function, we are mostly functioning on the spirit level. Like, take for instance, one sister from Chicago called. I'm gonna go into this, get into lecture. She said, well, this sister from Indiana called. She said, well, I just got a call from the sister from Chicago. She said, you getting ready to die. So the first thing in my mind, I start getting happy. I'm like, well, shit. Hey, you getting ready to die, because I know it's something spiritual. So, I called the sister Olivia, that went upstairs. She lives in Kansas. I said, because both of them going to Kansas to do a 9/11 lecture. So I said, well, what's going to happen? She said, I'm getting the incarnation. So, when they got to Kansas, I started sleeping, and I had remembered that the room, she was a daycare center, the room I was sleeping in a year ago, it had all these cribs in it. So she said, I said, damn, this is the crib where she had all these infants. But she has less amount of infants now, so she turned it into a bedroom. So I'm sleeping up in there and all, and I couldn't stop sleeping. And so she started trying to get the information, and whatever this entity, the soul entity, was incarnating in me, and it was just like an infant. It had to sleep just like a baby, so I slept for almost a week. The key here is, I get up and do things in the daytime, but when I sleep, it was like a deep sleep. And then I realized what was going on. My stomach got round in 2001, and that's in what you call, that's called the Buddha pregnancy. And I thought that when it did it and all, I thought that the entity matured a couple of months after, because it was the same like a pregnancy. It was a baby kicking in the side. It had movement and all that, but it was only a few days. So I figured that, when it was January of 2001, I figured by February it had subsided into this adult or whatever. I didn't realize that all the other stuff that came after February and stuff was this infant for the last 2 years. It was still this fetus. And all the stuff that went down, the baby of the egg, is called Harpocross. It was this fetus. When I went to Kansas on 9/11 this year, what I was actually doing is the baby was just being born. I'm like, oh, you mean to tell me since January 2001, this baby is just being born. So what happens is this. It's real simple. Just like you have a birth, and you in the mother's womb or whatever, and whatever the process the fetus goes through or whatever, your soul, once it wakes up, it goes through the same process. It goes through the same process. So there's I've been born again thing and all. There was a whole nother concept of that. So I know also what is also happening with the brothers that's getting hit by the cars and all that type of thing. You see what I'm saying? The soul is running the body, other than the spirit, and then other than the ego. So you have the most rigid is the ego runs the body. That means that you just think that this is you. Then there's the people that's spiritual, and the spirit runs the body. Well, that's a good concept. Then there's a level where the soul runs the body. That's a whole nother super being. That's a whole nother super being. Once that starts to run the body, that means that basically pretty much whatever you do in your mind is basically what starts to happen. So whatever you do, whatever you think of, starts to manifest.
Like the indwelling, the
Yeah.
soul is like the end. You don't have to stand up. You just you don't have nothing to do with it. The walking.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
soul, and the spirit is the outer part.
Exactly.
I'm glad you asked that.
On that particular level and stuff. So you got your spirit and you got the soul. The soul is totally different. As a matter of fact, the soul is so remote in most humans, especially with the white man. So the white man is convinced that there is no soul. You see, there is no soul. As far as he's concerned, he's spirit. But not everything has a soul. Because in order for everything to have a soul, that means because there was only a certain amount of souls that came from one realm to another realm, even in all of your fall stories. So where did all these other souls come from when there was only original ones that transferred? It wasn't big.